So I'd like to now introduce James Busumtwi-Sam, Associate Professor, who is specializing in international relations and comparative development in the Department of Political Science at Simon Fraser. And he's got some key research findings so far with the project that he would like to share. And then, as I say, we'll open up the floor to the questions that we have for us today, which are around the contributions of diaspora to development and very specific suggestions that you have for ways to support this work. So James, over to you.
Thanks, Joanne. Now, in the interest of time, I will be very, very brief with my comments. But I just want to just let you know that the full report will be available on our website by the middle of October. So I'm just going to summarize some of the key findings, and hopefully that will help set the stage for broader discussion later on. Now, what I want to focus on for this session is two things. One, to think about diasporic contributions beyond what I think is the excessive focus on remittances. Because what has come out, in terms of the series of dialogues we've had so far, is that diasporic contributions to development are much broader than remittances. We've seen contributions in various areas of development, including economic development and poverty reduction, in the area of social development, such as education, health, and nutrition, in the area of political development, peace building, and human security, and also in the area of knowledge and skills development. So in thinking about diasporic contributions to development, we need to broaden our scope in terms of the range of activities that can contribute to development. I also want to highlight some of the key findings in terms of what I think are some of the key challenges to and the types of strategies which we can take to enhance diasporic engagement in development. And the key point here is that we must be sensitive not only to the capacities of the diaspora for development in terms of how we can help foster that agency, that initiative on the part of diasporic individuals and groups, but we also need to be sensitive to the broader structures within Canadian society that can either enable or constrain. Because after all, agency is only possible within the broader social structures which create the avenues for that. So the key point is that in thinking about diaspora contributions, we shouldn't focus solely or exclusively on diasporic organizations. We also need to examine the broader Canadian policy and social environment that either helps or hinders that. So in that light, I want to highlight two key areas in terms of what the research has found so far. As far as Canada is concerned, the first thing to do is to recognize that Canadian-based diaspora also contribute to Canada's development. That in thinking about development, it isn't just about what Canadian-based diaspora do in their countries of attachment, it's also about how they contribute to development in Canada. Because in many respects, diasporic agency, when individuals and groups wake up, achieve this consciousness and this desire to make a difference, they have already attained a certain level. And this spills over into, now in the research report, we refer to this as the looping effect, that there is a mutual interchange between Canada and the countries of attachment of the diasporic individuals and groups. So there are some key challenges in terms of Canadian society that need to be addressed. First, I'll deal with policies. Policies on immigration, settlement, and citizenship, policies on multiculturalism and the politics of diversity and difference, policies with respect to credentials and knowledge and skills of immigrants and diasporic communities, and policies with respect to the employment. Now, I want to elaborate on these, but these are key areas in terms of the type of enabling environment within Canada that can either help or constrain diasporic development initiatives. The second area is in terms of the attitudes and perceptions of the wider Canadian public. And the third area is a relationship between diasporic individuals and groups and with Canadian institutions, both public and private, that are involved in international development. So that's the summary of the main challenges as far as Canadian domestic society is concerned. There are also challenges within Canadian-based diaspora themselves. And during the earlier session when we were having our discussions downstairs, several people noted that we must be cognizant of the fact that not always is it the case that diasporic contributions to development are positive, that they can be negative. So in thinking about enhanced strategies for engagement, we want to be sure that we can tap into this potential while at the same time building in safeguards that can minimize the potential for harm as far as development is concerned. So what are some of these challenges? One, we have fragmentation and divisions within the diaspora. Two, there's competition for limited resources. Three, some of the projects are very small scale. Thirdly, there's extreme variation in the type and the degree of organization of these various diasporic groups. And in many groups, or in some groups, there tends to be a tension between the public and the private nature of their activities. I'll just summarize that, and probably in the course of discussion, if necessary, I can elaborate. So what are some of the engagement criteria? How can we engage the diaspora and ensure that we have some safeguards? I list 4 possible criteria. 1 is accountability. 2, representativeness and inclusiveness of the diasporic organization. 3 is transparency, and 4 is sustainability. So this is just a summary of some of the key findings, and hopefully we can elaborate on this in the general discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James.